In this episode of MPTV, we sit down with Frank, the owner of Pacino's, a one-location Italian restaurant located in Mesa, Arizona. And I'm not gonna give it away, but I'm gonna let you know. The man's passion is contagious. I could tell sitting there how great the results were gonna be in his restaurant, how great the food's gonna be, because he cared, he loved, and he's a hard worker. So let's go check it out and see what he has to say. Hey, what's up? It's Matt. We're back with another episode of MPTV. Today, we are in Mesa, Arizona, and we are at Pacino's with not Mr. Pacino, but with Frank, the owner of the restaurant. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for inviting me to share my experiences with you.
So I guess tell the audience a little about you and about your background and how you got to this point of this restaurant.
Well, it's a long story. You got a couple of days? Just kidding.
3 hours now.
Well, growing up in New York, raised by second generation Italians, grew up poor, you know, everything was cooked in-house, that type of thing. My mom's side, Los Salento, Fusco side, were in the restaurant business. My dad's side, we were all in construction type of thing. And I knew at a young age that I had that entrepreneurial spirit that I wanted to get into business. I started my mom was working at a place called Pride, Italian sausage place. They were making all of the cold cuts and the meats. And she was on the line packing the meats, and she got me a job there at like 13 years of age, you know, and I was doing all the dirty work, cleaning up all of that equipment with all the meat and afterwards and stuff. But I just like, wow, I'd like to own this place someday. And I worked there throughout high school and stuff until the boss was found shot in his office. Probably a mob hit, I don't know. I was still a kid. I didn't know much about the mob, even though, you know, we were always called guineas and wops, and everybody was associated with the mob if you were Italian growing up, you know. I didn't know. I was a naive kid, went to an all-boy high school, played sports, all that other stuff. But my Uncle Tommy had a really nice restaurant called Tommy's Pizzeria in Valhalla, New York, and that was actually my first experience with real pizza. Real pizza for us was home. Mom would get a slice of bread, put the homemade gravy on it, and put some cheese on the top of the sliced bread, and that was pizza for us. That's how we. But Mom used to make the meatballs, fried them in the frying pan, and I would get one right out of the frying pan, but not put tomato sauce or gravy on it. I liked it with ketchup, and I would just love those meatballs. But I had a love for Italian food. It was just amazing, the food that they made. Except some of the times they made like liver and onions, which I didn't like. Unfortunately, we had a dog, so when the dog was under the table, I would give it to the dog, because if we didn't eat, we had to go to bed. That's the way it was growing up, you know, it was one of those things. But anyway, so over the course of my childhood, I started doing some odds and end jobs, businesses and stuff like that. My dad worked for the sanitation department, brought home the shovel about this wide. So I would take it to the neighborhood and shovel snow in the wintertime, make some extra money and stuff like that, and wind up saving some money. As soon as I started working, my parents never bought me anything. I always had to do my own thing. But anyway, I started working in a deli. I was in a produce, in the sausage factory. That's where I learned how to make the mozzarella, was in the Italian deli.
Okay.
Then I got a job in a supermarket, working in the produce department, all while I was going to school. My parents sent me out to California when I graduated high school at 17 to visit my uncle, and I fell in love with it. I was an athlete in school. I played golf. I was on the wrestling team, all of those type of things. Fell in love with California, but I went back to school, went back to college. Met a young girl. Now, I was really not into girls. I was into sports. I went to an all-boy high school. As soon as I met a girl, like, wow, I'm in love. And I found my way through different things, working in the supermarket. And then one day, I got into real estate, actually. That was a really good gig. Then my cousin Michael was working for Amici Pizza, and he said, hey, I got a nice girl for you. She's a really nice Italian girl. And I said, my parents always told me to find a nice Italian girl. I could never find an Italian girl. So he hooked me up with this Italian girl, and I really liked it. And they had this great concept of Amici Pizza. Just started this fast food Italian chain. Our father was from Rome. My partner was from Harlem, New York, both Italians. Fell in love with it. I sold my Arco station, opened up the first Amici's. Okay. Became the #1 franchisee. 750 square foot store doing $750,000 in 1985. Oh. And I just fell in love with it. I was hustling, I was doing everything I could. Then I just before you know it, I opened up 18 restaurants over the next 12 years with Amici's, and I got a bunch of other people. So from 4 or 5 stores that they had originally, we got them up to like 40-something stores.
Wow.
And I left in 2012. I finally decided to leave and start the Pacino thing in 2012. They're down to like 40 stores now. They just kind of like fizzled out. They just archaic Italian. They should have had 1,000 stores.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't listen to me. I'm just son-in-law, you know what I mean? Whatever. But all the franchise came looking at me. Why is he doing so much business? I took a store that was 5 different Italian restaurants, including another Amici franchisee, and took it to 1.2 million. Then wind up selling it to the ex-wife for $450,000 cash.
Well, what were you doing?
I was just getting involved with the neighborhood. I got involved with school accounts. At that time, all of the high schools and all the local schools were buying pizzas. I got involved with them. I was doing 1,000 pizzas a week for the schools. I had all the schools getting involved with fundraising for the schools. And the ex-wife was like, nobody cares about you. They don't. You think they care about you that you're doing all of this fundraising for them and helping them out? Yeah. 1.2 million, and you bought me out for $450,000. So, and that's where I'm at. Then I decided to start the Pacino thing when I left Amici's. And Amici's was more of a fast food Italian place, and I evolved into becoming a full-service sit-down Italian restaurant now here in Mesa, Arizona. So 8 years.
Was that the big difference with the other franchises to what you were doing? Is that you were involved in the community, you're active, you were visible, you were doing grassroots marketing?
I had a passion. I loved it. You couldn't pay me $1 million to go and work in a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. I just not me. But I love pizza. I could eat it every day. I love lasagna and all of that stuff. And I just had the passion to succeed. And I think maybe it extends. I talked to my sister a lot about it. We grew up a little rough with the parents and the language, you dummy, you stupid. You know, we got the soap in the mouth and the hot pepper in the mouth and the backhand and the spoon and the strap. Man, we got our ass kicked if we answered them back and we did the wrong. And you know, you dummy, you stupid. And maybe that resonated with me, and I tried to prove to them otherwise that I'm not that. You know what I mean, or whatever. But I just had their drive since, like I said, since I was a kid to do something, be successful. I like creating. I'm not so much liking to maintain something, and 8 years here is a long time for me. I think the longest one I had was the Thousand Oaks one that I took over. That was 4 or 5 restaurants. I had it for 11 years before the ex bought it from me. But that's why I kept opening up more stores, and I thought I was going to go in the stock market with all of these restaurants and everything else like that, because we should have. They should have been huge with that company, but it is what it is. But I like what I'm doing now. I'm independent. I get to do what I want to do, say what I want, do what I want, and create what I want.
Yeah.
And it's been an amazing journey. And I came here cold turkey, not knowing anyone. Everybody told me when I was looking to move out of California, because sort of writing on the wall was just hard doing business, cost of doing business. It was just really a lot of bureaucratic nonsense and stuff like that. And so I got to get out of here. So I was looking at
which we're seeing in 2020 in California.
If I was there now, I'd be out of business probably, for sure. I mean, cost of labor, everything, insurance, rents, I mean, employees, I mean, just was a tough gig there. I mean, I made it because I worked hard at it, but it was a tough gig. And I was going to go to Colorado or Texas and stuff like that, where minimum wage was still $2.13 an hour for tipped employees, and areas were growing leaps and bounds. I want to go near where there was growth, and there was really no growth where I was in California. But I didn't know what a snowbird was until one of my customers driving through stopped at our restaurant and said, "You got to go to Arizona." I started looking at Arizona. I said, I kind of like it. I like the weather, and it was closer to California where my kids are and stuff like that. It took me a couple of years, but I finally pulled the trigger and came out here cold turkey. But I saw this, as soon as I saw this, and I looked at it, maybe a dozen restaurants. And if I have to think about it, it's not there.
Yeah.
It's an instinct for me.
Gut feeling.
Gut feeling. I saw this and I seen what was going on around it. I did my little homework. I looked at all the other restaurants and how busy they were and what was there and what I could bring to the table.
Yeah.
Instant success.
So
#1 restaurant I've ever had out of the 18 restaurants I've opened.
And you've been in this location 8 years.
8 years.
So what was it that attracted you outside of your gut and instinct? I know there's that feeling, but what were a couple of things that if you're telling another operator you're looking at opening a restaurant, there's going to be a lot of opportunity in 2021 to open restaurants. There's going to be a lot of real estate available. What did you look for to make sure that the success was there?
Location, other businesses being successful. I would go and talk to employees and see how long they've been there, how much they're making, and they would share. Oh yeah, we do $5,000 today. The wine bar next door, yeah, we do $10,000 on Friday night, and I could see it because there was always a line out the door.
Yep.
And I says, you got to be kidding! There's nothing here. There isn't any Italian food around here. And I says, I know I could bring something to the table. Now I never had a bar before.
Okay.
This was his first time having a bar, so it was a challenge for him. But it turned out to be the best thing I've ever had because I would never do another restaurant without a bar.
Yeah.
Because it's easy money. I mean, considering you don't have to pay $20 an hour for a kitchen guy, you're paying minimum wage for a bartender that could pop out $1,000 worth of alcohol.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But it goes hand in hand for us, and it works out really well. But location has a lot to do with competition here. But I always feel that I'm the competition. I never fear anybody else. I mean, there is a place across the street that's an institution across the street called Red, White, and Brew. They do a little bit Italian, a little bit of this, a little bit American, and they're like, the go-to place. Everybody goes. But we made a dent, and those guys next door, the wine bar was doing like 1.6 million at the time. They're not nowhere near doing that. So we made a dent in the neighborhood, and we're, I don't want to say the numbers, but we're 1.2, 1.3 million now, from a place that was 2 other restaurants in here before also that everybody said, you're not going to make it here. You're not going to do more than 500,000 or 600,000, business brokers and stuff like that. There's too many mobile homes in the area, snowbird, whatever. We did it. And we had a record year during COVID last year. And January, February, we're up from last January, February already. Still not being able to sit more than 50% of the people in here.
Yeah, I can tell when we got here and we were setting up, I could see you working the room. You're not the owner that's not doing it. You were taking plates. You were talking to customers.
I do it all. I have a hard time delegating sometimes a little bit, and I help them out, and I get complaints. Let them do their job. I says, well, I'm just helping them do a better job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm thinking of the experience of the customer. So like if a customer has to wait to pay their check, that's not good.
Yep.
If the customer has to wait, the customer's waving, can I get another drink? That's not good. So that's what I'm here for, to fill in those things, not to take their job away, to think that they're not doing their job.
Well, what I like about you from the short time I've known you and just watching you work, I grew up, my dad had an insurance agency, and he insured a lot of restaurants in Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky. I joked that I didn't know my mom could cook when I was little because we ate out every night. He was going out for business, for networking, but also for his clients. And you remind me of a lot of his clients, that restaurant operator back in the 80s, before all the franchises, that were active. They worked the floor. You walked in, Mr. Plapp, how are you? How are the kids? How's the family? I got you a table. Let's go sit down. It was a different level, and you could say, I knew this guy. Like there was a guy, Takas, that worked at a couple of the restaurants in Cincinnati, Mike Finks, Montgomery Inn, that my dad would always say, we're going to see Takas. And he knew us. We walked in. There was a personality.
Right. It's huge. And I wish I had the memory that the customers have from my name as they have. I mean, I don't know them all. Yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. Thank you for coming in again. Appreciate it. But I don't remember maybe a quarter of their names. But I do hug them. I give them the respect they deserve. I treat them like family. It's just what I know.
Yep.
And no more, no less. I was taught that growing up, that we care about everybody, and we love everybody like we want to be loved.
Yep.
And that's how it's been here. And we try to instill that in our servers and stuff like that. When we're hiring, we try to hire personalities, people we could teach them to take an order. That's not rocket science, but you can't teach someone to have a personality or not. So that's a key for us, is they have a sense of humor, they have a personality, and they care about what they're doing. It's not about the money. Otherwise, I tell them, stand on a corner.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they feed off of you. They see your energy. They see your passion.
You try to set an example by your work ethics and stuff like that. Sometimes it works, and sometimes they could give 2 craps about it, and then they don't last. That's how it is.
Okay, break time. Restaurant owners, you're watching MPTV, so you're obviously interested in increasing your sales and profits. But what if I told you could eliminate the hope and pray out of your marketing? You could spend money and actually see results. Most marketing starts with attention, like a billboard. The problem is that attention leads nowhere. That's why we created the ROI Engine restaurant program. We take attention and gain huge engagement, whether it's in-store or online. We help you build a database with deep customer information that's comprised of email, cell phone, and birthday. And then we drive them into the restaurant with trackable results. Yes, results you can actually see. If you're interested and want to have a conversation, check out restaurantmarketingthatworks.com. Worst case scenario, you get a lot of great ideas. Now back to the show. So what are a couple things you did when you got in here? You did 2 restaurants before, you weren't successful. You filled a gap, obviously, with regards to the type of Italian food, your customer service. What were a couple things you did throughout the years that you added? Like I see this awesome display of wine behind you. Was that right off the bat that you did?
That was right off the bat.
Okay.
But my first thing, because I'm a pizza guy, I really feel that I could put my pizza up against anybody's pizza. Matter of fact, a lot of people know of Pizza Bianco. If you look them up, big name. So your pizzas, we'll put your pizza up against Bianco's pizza. It's that good. And I wanted to make this a pizza restaurant with pasta as a side dish. Interviewing chefs. No, this is like Scottsdale. You know, Scottsdale is the Beverly Hills of Arizona.
Yeah.
We need to put a really nice menu and feature really good Italian food, and pizza is secondary. I said, okay. We tried it. Charlie Della Pease was my first chef. Anal as could be. If you didn't wear the towel on your shoulder, he would get mad at you or whatever. And the menu and I told him, we went around, talked to other people and what we should have here. And I wanted to put, the basic Italian with some of his creative dishes on the menu. No, that's boring. He made the best meatballs. Him and I put that meatball recipe together, and we sold the heck out of those meatballs. Meatball sliders. And we only did meatball sliders.
Okay.
And then customers, can you have spaghetti? Can we have spaghetti meatballs? You have spaghetti noodles on the menu. Can we do spaghetti meatballs? Nope, I'm not gonna do that. He didn't last but 6 months.
Yeah.
We finally wound up putting spaghetti meatballs, which he didn't want to put on the menu, fettuccine Alfredo, lasagna, chicken parme, all of the staple Italian dishes that people.
Which is what people wanted.
And those are our #1 sellers. And that's why we became where we are, is by putting that. And we still do those other fancy stuff. We do ossobuco, we put some steaks on the menu, the shrimp, the salmon, some of the other things to give people that variety. And we expanded the menu. And a lot of the chefs don't like that it's too big of a menu. We got a lot of prep to do and all that other stuff, but it works. And we give people that opportunity to have a choice of different things and stuff like that. So that's how it all evolved.
That's a great story. What did you take from the old pizza days, from the marketing side that you brought here? Are you doing anything like that?
Pizza was always a secondary thing to us since we opened. I mean, and like I said, our pizza is good. We make everything. We make our dough. We infuse it with a little fresh garlic that gives a lot of, and we use extra virgin olive oil where most everybody uses vegetable oil in their dough. And that sets that dough up. But there's so much flavor to the crust. People just eat the crust on that pizza. And then we do use a whole milk mozzarella, has a little more butterfat content. And we use Stanley slouch tomatoes for our pizza, for the sauce base. And we use a stone oven, which gives it a nice crust on the bottom of the pizza. But it's always been secondary here. Once the pandemic hit, and we couldn't do dining room for about 5 or 6 weeks, I said, we got to do something. We never really had much of a takeout business. It was all dining room business here. And my old days with the fast food, Italian food, there was a lot of takeout and delivery, huge.
Pizza.
It was about 1/3 dining room, 1/3 takeout, and 1/3 takeout. I said, we got pizza here. We got spaghetti and meatballs. It goes perfectly for takeout.
Yeah.
So I pounded it. I started advertising in Money Mailer and Valpak and all those. The greatest meal deals, family meal deals. Spaghetti and meatballs, a large pizza and an antipasta salad, $24. 2 pastas, antipasta salad, $24. 2 large one-topping pizzas and a sea at $24. We started doing $600-700 a day in takeout business, and that helped. And then our customers, they supported us like crazy. We need you. In all of those 30 years in California, no customer ever said that we need you, we appreciate it. Customers were willing to write me a check. How much you need? $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to stay open. They were giving us $50 tips, $100 tips during those times we were just open for. And that's really humbling. Because all I do is do what I've been doing for since I was 12 years old. It was work hard and I have a passion for what I do. I never look at dollar signs when a customer comes in. Think about how am I going to wow them with our service. Because the food is good.
Well, I think the key point I saw there too, and I just heard this from an episode I filmed earlier today, was people come to a place like this, it's their getaway. my wife, I like taking her to dinner because she hates, we got kids. It destroys the kitchen, it's dishes, it's this. I don't cook. If I cook, it's a disaster.
Right.
And so it's like, hey, let's go out, let's have a good time. And so they appreciate that all those memories that you might not have realized you gave them.
Mm-hmm. And it is family oriented. We have kids. We have a kids menu, and we do little birthday cannolis for everybody. No matter what they order, they get a little birthday cannolis, and we sing happy birthday to them. So everyone is allowed to come in here. We've even fed homeless people when they come in here. I see them walking around. Come on in, whatever you want. You know what I mean? That's who we are. We put it on our Facebook. Anybody who's in need of a meal, come and get it. Because I believe I've been blessed, and I got to give back. That's what the Lord says to do, and that's what I do.
I love it. And that carries through with everything. That's why you were supported during the time. And
That's
why
exactly.
you continue to grow.
And I never admit that's why it is, because he's the one doing it, not me. You know what I mean? He's just guiding me to in his place of worship here. Yep. So we have a cross on a bar that was given to me when we first opened up, and it's stayed there ever since. And I think that's the reason why we're still here, through all that stuff. The landlord came to me and gave me $18,000 that I didn't even ask him for. He says, would you stay for another 5 years? I says, absolutely, this is my life. This is where I'm gonna die, And he gave me $18,000, we did get a PPP loan, which helped out a little bit.
Yep.
And the city of Mesa also came through and gave me $35,000. They got $90 million in grant money.
Okay.
Out of all the restaurants, I mean, they gave me one of their catering a week that was like 200 lunches a week. They gave me, and they just gave me another 60 for the Oakland A's during the spring training. They gave me 60 lunches. So they are supporting the local business in the neighborhood, and we're just, like I said, we're just surrounded by supporting cast here. It's just, they knew I was going to go through a lot of personal problems too. I went through a divorce when we first opened up here, and I was kind of like, what am I doing here by myself? I don't know anybody, but the customers came and supported me, and this is what I was given the gift to do. You ain't going nowhere, and I'm staying here and turn this into a landmark and an institution here. So
I love it.
I love it. I'm excited, and I'm going to do another restaurant.
Congrats.
They just accepted my offer, and the landlord just approved my offer on the lease and stuff like that. A pizza place.
Hey, back to the roots.
Back to my roots. Pizza, wings, and meatballs.
Okay.
On Val Vista and Williamsfield out in the Santan Valley area. So we're excited about that. And it's going to be Bronx Pizza, just simple called Bronx Pizza. So we're excited about expanding.
Nice, I love it. And it's a great time. You always say out of all negative comes positive. I think we all can focus on some of the negative we saw online, but there was a lot of positive that happened with customer support, with the community rallying around it. And also now with your opportunity to grow, because there's a lot of opportunity.
There is. I mean, there is, and I'm excited about it. And pizza will never go away. It's a family food. People sit down at the table, enjoy it together with a family. It's not going to go away. It's only going to continue to grow and stuff like that. So we're excited about it.
Well, cool. And you're going to love it, because you might not know this, but I brought a copy of my book, Sell More Slices. And I didn't know you were opening pizzas. Talks about how to sell more pizza. So
we're excited about selling thousands of pizzas a week there. We got a good pie.
Hopefully we can give you some advice and guidance.
Sure. I don't know everything. I'm always reading up on it. I subscribe to Pizza Today and all of these other magazines and stuff like that. And I'm always looking online, and if you don't learn something every day, then you're not living life. So
paying attention,
exactly. And there's a lot to learn. A lot to learn about marketing today. I don't know. Matter of fact, one of the restaurants that I sold to one of my employees in California, Wally, and I called him the other day. I said, listen, I'm opening up a pizza place, and I know it's changed a lot. It used to be, I meet you, could you hold? I meet you on Super Bowl Sunday or on Halloween night. We could not answer the phones enough. Now he says, we're not doing any more phone calls. It's all online.
Yep.
It's all texting, online stuff, and that type of thing. I said, well, thank you for helping me, because I got to figure this out. I'm old school. Yep. I've learned how to use the computer instead of taking orders by hand still here. You know what I mean? And I love it. It really does work. It takes me a little while to learn it, because I got to get comfortable. Once I'm in it, it's a piece of cake. But I always got to slow to learn to get into it and stuff.
Well, so lean on us. We know a lot about that part of the business. Yeah.
So he gave me a lot of insight on it, on the computer system and the different companies he's using. And I said, are you just using your own drivers? Because they used to. He says, no, we're doing our own drivers, but we're still using Grubhub and DoorDash and all those other companies too. I said, okay, I just wasn't sure if that's how to lean towards that. So I asked him for advice, which is
what you got to do.
But he always calls me thanks, boss. You always, thank you for giving me that opportunity. I sold him the place for like 20 grand down now. He's turned that into a huge moneymaker. He's just been a really hard-working guy and really made something out of that franchise. So I'm proud of him, and we keep in touch all the time. And that's how we roll. You know what I mean? I don't like to burn bridges.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So.
Restaurant owners, did you know Matt has free online marketing courses that teach you how to successfully market your restaurant? Email support@mattplapp.com to get access to the courses and a free social media content calendar.
Well, the last question I end the podcast with, and I appreciate your time, is,
you're welcome.
And this one's gonna be a tough one, I think, for you, because I think I know the answer. Because I always ask people, when you leave the restaurant, do you have an airplane mode? Do you have a button you switch to do something, golf, exercise, this? Is there an airplane mode for you?
Yeah, it hasn't been.
I was gonna say.
It hasn't been. I dream it. I sleep it. I dream it. It's ridiculous, and it took its toll on a few relationships because of that. But I've learned to start pulling back a little bit and taking some time off. I go back to see my dad, my 92-year-old dad in California every couple of months now. I take a couple of days. I'm learning how to pull back a little bit. Golf, yes, I would love to play golf more often. When I'm on the golf course, I think of nothing else but golf, and that's my relaxing time and stuff like that. But other than that, I sleep and eat the restaurant business. I'm always coming up with different ideas and different specials and stuff like that. It is. That's why I am.
It's in your blood.
It is, and that's why I am where I am today.
Yeah.
It's because of that. And God gave me this gift. This is my love. I don't think there's a woman in this world, I don't care how gorgeous or young, how beautiful she is going to give me the love that this restaurant gives me.
Cool.
And that's why I think we are where we're at, beside the man above me.
So I appreciate your time.
No, I thank you. I'm really honored and pleasured to talk to you and to give you all that I can. And anytime you need any advice on anything, I'm here for you. I love sharing, and some of my ex-employees that have, like Wally, he'd always call me and ask me for it. You should go into the consulting business. I don't want to charge for it. I just love sharing it.
Give it away, see?
I give it away. That's it. That's what I do.
So give it away. So
I give it away. Whatever you guys want, it's free.
So that's all. Maybe I'm saying it too loud. The customers might hear it.
I don't care. I know I'm going to get it tenfold anyway.
There we go. So
yeah.
That's this episode of MPTV. We're at Pacino's. We're in Mesa, Arizona. And if I took anything from this, it's if you were sitting here, you'd be able to feel the passion, the love, the excitement. That is contagious. And your customers feel it, the employees feel it. And that's why this business is thriving and will continue to. See you next episode.
Thank you.